We were down in Napa a couple of weeks ago. We love to go to Silverado and do some wine tasting and play some good morning, everyone. How's it going? All right. Patrick, how you doing? Good morning. How's everybody doing? Russell, we're going to get started here in a couple of minutes. Freedom Friday. I love Friday. I mean, it feels like Saturday. This was kind of a long week. I don't know if you guys, awesome. Well, hey, let's go ahead and get going. We've got a guest here, Ryan Young. Ryan, how are you this morning?
I couldn't be better.
Awesome. I've known Ryan for many years, friends, colleagues. We're in the RATE group, Radio and TV Experts. He's #1 team in Ohio, also CEO at Fellow, leader of the young team. So Ryan, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself and then let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And, excited to be on the call with you guys. So we're Ohio based. The young team is a KW team, #1 large team, real trend, top 18 large team in the country. We are somewhat unique from a standpoint. We'll sell about 600 homes this year with 13 agents. So what we have found is a way to maximize efficiency in our organization of agent per home sold per agent productivity. And we've really done that by kind of pouring into them, strengthening their skill sets. I would call it healthy accountability, but also really making sure that we've kind of built this community of just really high productive agents. It's not a diluted, watered down kind of organization. And we're really proud of that. Now we're at a place where we're also looking to bring on more agents and help them achieve that type of productivity. But pretty much everyone in our organization is a 6-figure earner. And that's something that we've really kind of found our model and the way it works for us. What I want to talk to you guys about today, though, is some ways that we're pouring into our agents and our team and things that, we're doing to help them succeed. But before we do that, I want to kind of just walk you through a little timeline. Okay. And this is not political, but I want to kind of make a point here. Okay. December of 2019, patients in Wuhan started showing symptoms of COVID. Okay. January 10th, there was an outbreak in Wuhan. February 10th, the worldwide death toll was 1,013. February 23rd, Italy goes on lockdown. March 3rd, there were 19 cases in the US. March 11th, there was 118,000 cases worldwide, and WHO declares a global pandemic. March 13th, travel out of the US is banned. March 15th, states begin to shut down. Okay. Now, all of us have different opinions about COVID. Like I said, this is not political, but December of 2019, when this was a small little issue in Wuhan, actually thought that this was a big deal, right? I know I didn't, right? And some people maybe in February when Italy was going down might have thought it was a big deal. Some people didn't. Some people, once we got to March, might have thought it was a big deal. Some people didn't. But then it got to a place where I think everyone started to realize that this is real. Okay. Now let's translate that to why am I even saying this, right? So Fed rate hikes March of 2022, 25 basis points. May, 50 basis points. June, 75 basis points. July, 75 basis points. August, 75 basis points. In September 15th, we saw the slowest week in the last 20 years of loan applications, whether it's refinance or new loan applications. Okay. June, we saw the highest amount of, at least for our team, the highest amount of volume, the highest amount of properties sold, yet the lowest amount of units written. When did we start to realize that we were in a recession? Was it in March when they increased 25 basis points? Was it in July when they started hitting 75 basis points? But I think all of us were sitting back in March, despite them starting to pull some levers, right? Just like in December of 2019, when although there were some clues, it didn't necessarily mean that we all started freaking out. I think we're at a place now where we've realized 3 consecutive months of 75 75 basis point increases. Market, this is real, right? And I hope you guys acknowledge that this is real. Maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we were still kind of riding the wave of having some pretty big closing months like June, July. I know our team did. We weren't really scared of the recession, just like in January of 2020, we weren't really scared of COVID. But then all of a sudden, there were more and more clues that started getting more and more in our face, where we all have to acknowledge that this is real. In 2021, there was 6.1 million homes sold. In 2022, there will be 4.8 million. They're projecting in 2023, 4.4 million. Okay. 2021, 6.1 million. 2023, 4.4 million. That's about 75% of the homes that are going to sell from 2021 that are going to sell in 2023. They're expecting that there's going to be 30% less agents in business in 2024 than there currently was in 2022. So I'm saying all this not to freak everyone out, but to realize, like, guys, the writing is on the wall. We are there. You know, we need to, as an agent community, sharpen our skill set, right? Now more than ever, you guys need to acknowledge and realize that, like, the days of the 2021, 2022 Q1, Q2 are over. We are in a completely different market. We're in a completely different industry. And what are we doing as agents to change our habits, change our skill set, and pour into it? And so that's something that's really important to our organization, is we've gotten back to the essentials, to the basics. And I know when you have a team where the average agent's selling about 45 homes a year, it's sometimes hard to get them back into role playing. Something as simple as that, right? Getting back to calling their sphere of influence, back to the skill sets that helped us get to where we are. But I think now they're starting to realize, when you're seeing these numbers drop significantly really quickly, that, like, we have to get back to being a highly skilled based team. And so the one thing that I would recommend to you, and we'll talk about some tactics on how you can generate more listings and some of the things that we've done, is I hope none of you guys are sitting here and saying, I've had my biggest year ever in 2022, and thinking that we are not in a shitstorm of what the next couple of years are going to be, right? And you know, it's one of those things that the writing is on the wall, the data is there. This is no longer this is no longer qualitative. It's not anecdotal. There's real data showing us that, like, numbers are slipping really quickly, and it's a huge opportunity for you guys, though, if you lean into it and really focus on being skill-based and increase your effort and energy. I am confident that each and every one of you will be in a much better place in 2 years from now as a business owner. And that's how we started the Young Team in 2009. I got in the business in the heart of the recession, and still the #1 team in the state of Ohio. So a couple things that our organization is doing that I'd highly recommend for you guys, whether you're individual agents or have a team. Right now, we are all focused on contribution. And so just like I'm here right now sharing with you guys, I would highly recommend that you make sure that it is a non-negotiable, that everyone in your organization or your market center, just like Tom is contributing to all of you guys, everyone needs to be pouring into everyone else. And I think you will see that kind of that's going to strengthen and rise the tide, essentially, of your organization. And I think contribution is crucial. So you need to kind of get that as part of your DNA. Every single agent needs to be pouring into every single agent. Like I said, we're going into heavy skill-based role plays every day. We're seeking wisdom. So I have my team members teaching every week a new topic on something that they're great at, whether it's niche like investors or expireds, FSBOs. Our highest converting people on appointments are teaching the rest of our organization. So, and we're making it mandatory for all of our team members to be there to soak up and absorb that type of information. And then lastly, I just think something that's really important is, what are you guys doing to help improve their skill sets, right? Or your skill sets. They might be used to role playing or going on listing appointments from 2017 to 2022. Those listing appointments might not be applicable to what we're going to be in 2023. What are we doing to stay in front of that and make sure that we're overcoming objections that we're going to see in 3 to 6 months from now, versus them hearing that objection in real time and not being prepared, right? So just some things, we'll kind of jump into some tactics, just some things though that we're really focusing on in our organization as a high performing organization is like, this is real. We have to really wake up and actually make sure that we are attacking it. And I will say, I've been in the room with me, the Toms of the world, and other like top high performing teams and agents. We're all excited about this, and you guys should be too, because the one thing that I'm confident on is if you have the skill set, you will take more market share as agents are falling off. Like we said, 30% less agents in 24 months from now. That's a huge opportunity for all of you guys if you lean into it, right? If we fear it, if we run away from it, we're hopeless. And I'm looking forward to the agents that are fearing it and running away from it for two reasons. Either I'm going to recruit them to my team and show them that we can support them and help them push through, or it's going to create more market share for us. So I'm going to talk about 3 tactics that our team's doing and we're really implementing at a high level. And then I'll shut up. You guys can ask me some questions, or, you know, we can start attacking the day. But the top 3 things that we're doing right now is to help generate listings is we're going heavy on investors. Okay. Now investors, a lot of investors buy, right? But a lot of investors that we work with buy and then sell. A lot of the investors are sitting on large portfolios that they've acquired over the past couple years. We're talking about helping them liquidate those portfolios so that they can capitalize in the new market. And I'm going to share my screen and show you some of the ways that we're being really aggressive in finding those investors. Now, we have access to some tools. You guys might have access to some, I don't know, but we all have access to some sort of tools. This is our MLS. What I am doing is I'm actually searching homes sold in the past 6 months. You can look back the past 2 years, 5 years, whatever you want. And I'm looking for transactions that closed with cash. Okay. Now our MLS, we can delineate homes that sold with cash. I don't know if you guys in your market can see that through County Auditor, but there's ways to figure out properties that have sold with cash. All right. Now I'm going and looking that up. And when I go to look up properties, so there's 55 in the past 6 months, just in this one community, what I'm looking for is to see who's paying cash for homes. Well, a lot of investors. So I want to see if people are buying those in an entity, right? Now, what I have found is that if someone's paying cash and buying a home in an entity, it is normally not an end user. It's normally an investor. And normally that investor might have multiple properties. So let's just take, for example, this person, the entity is S Nauer LLC. Let's just see, and I'm doing this in real time. So let's just see what happened. Okay, so this person owns 3 properties just in this entity. Great, that's a great opportunity, but how do I get in touch with them? So I go to, this is an Ohio thing. You probably can do this in California, whatever market you're in. But I basically looked up the entity, and all I did was come in here and look this up. And I went S Nauer LLC, search. Here we go, S Nauer. I click on it. Minimize you guys. Show details. The owner of the entity is Imad Nader. Then what I did was, and this is his address, or the address where the entity is logged. Then I went into Forewarn, which is a tool that we use, but you can use other things like Zoom Info, stuff like that. I typed in the person's name. I pressed search. Luckily, it's kind of a unique name. There's 11 phone records. And now what I'm going to do is shoot him a message. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to shoot him a message and say, hey, I saw that you own these 3 properties, right? Will you consider selling them? Because that's what everyone is going to be calling this person, trying to take the front door approach, right? I'm going to take the back door approach. I'm going to call him up and say, hey, I see that you own some real estate in Northeast Ohio. Out of curiosity, if I can help you find opportunities, would you be willing to work through me? Okay. But all I ask is, if you're flipping that opportunity, that if I help you find it, then I'm going to also help you sell it. Okay. We've done this with a lot of investors over the years. Also, sometimes you'll see investors like to sell their home for sale by owner. Everyone's calling the for sale by owner saying, hey, I can net you more money. I'm not calling them to try to list that property. I'm calling to try to establish a relationship with someone that buys a lot of real estate. And you'll see, like, this is just one market. Let's see, the next property is Graceworks LLC. It's also in an entity. I bet you if I looked up Graceworks, They probably own multiple properties. Next one, and occasionally you'll get someone that buys a house cash that's an end user, like this person. But what I have found is when I'm looking up cash properties and another entity, right? This person bought a house in Lakewood, yet they live in Solon. This is actually a really nice community in Northeast Ohio. Now all of a sudden I'm reaching out to these people and it gives me a reason to communicate with them. But it's not the front door approach of, hey, I want to sell your house. It's, hey, I want to come from contribution. I see that you own other real estate. I would love to help you find opportunities. And if I do, I just want to make sure that I get that listing on the back end when you go to flip it. Does that make sense? So we'll go to questions at the end, but that's something we're having a ton of success with, is focusing on investors that accumulate a larger amount of real estate versus versus trying to hit one deal per session, right? Like if I can help someone sell 3 homes, 7 homes, 10 homes, depending on how big their portfolio is, we found that that is a quick way to amass units. And if they're good partners and we provide them value, they'll pay us full retail. We have found that like most investors that we're working with are not trying to beat us up over the head because we're showing them value in what we do. So that's something that I think is super important. The next thing we're doing that is really important, we are focusing on every buyer lead as a seller lead. And I know some people are like, why would you want seller leads? Because they're going to become harder to sell. But sellers for us, we've been a listing based business since I've been in business. I used to be the expired and FSBO guy. Like we have signs out there which generate more business for us, like list to last, right? So every buyer, raise a show of hands. How many of you guys have some sort of buyer lead source like Zillow, Realtor.com, pay-per-click, Facebook, right? Some of you guys, okay. Buyer leads are about 1/10 the cost of seller leads. Why are we looking at buyer leads as buyers when they also live in a home? And now it's just a matter of, do they own the home they live in, or does someone else own the home they live in? And if they're looking to buy, that means that, and they don't own that home, that tenant or that the investor owner of that property is going to have a property that's unoccupied. Would they consider selling it? But we focus on every single buyer that comes in on where do they live and how can we actually help them, and focus on the house that they own versus the house that they buy. And we do that a couple ways, right? We also still try to service them on what they are actually inquiring about, but this is more of a backdoor approach. Every person that comes in, we find their data. I use that thing Forewarn, right? We see where they live and we put them into some sort of property watch, some sort of market update, whether you use a HomeBot. I have a company called Fellow that does it, but basically Brivity is a CRM that has like a CMA market update. But what you guys should be doing is making sure that you're dripping on them with that home that they own and not just focusing on them on the house that they want to buy. Because I don't know about your guys' markets, but in my market, people now, it used to be 6-7 years ago, the first thing they would want to do is sell their house before they'd consider buying. We're still only at about 1.5 months of inventory. So most people start looking for a new house before they even consider selling theirs. And so what we are looking at is highly predictive data of someone that's inquiring on a property that's going to be selling their home in 6 to 12 months. I want to make sure that I'm establishing the relationship with them and providing them value so that when they are ready to sell, they're considering us as an option. Okay. So I just think that's something that's really crucial. Every buyer lead that comes in, find out where they live and start providing them value on the home that they live in. Doesn't mean completely abandon them as a buyer, but you need to subtly be dripping on them and providing them value for the home that they live in. And you will see that's going to create a lot of opportunities. The last thing is our team's focusing really heavy on clients that have bought from 2015 to 2020, right before March. What we have found is those are the people with the most amount of equity in their property. And although we've seen about a 15% decrease in values over the last 3 months, which is kind of crazy to say, we also saw about a 15% increase in value in 3 months. Those people are still really happy with how much equity and appreciation they've seen in their home versus if you're trying to talk to someone in 2020 that might have bought in the peak, they have no equity, right? Because they bought in an inflated market. So what we found is the people that we're talking to in 2016, 2017, although maybe the market has depreciated 15% in the last 3 months, these people are still looking at maybe 25% appreciation from when they bought it and are still really excited about how much appreciation and equity they have in their property. And so for us, that's just been something that's been, a really strong effort right now of making sure that they're aware of how much equity that they have, making sure that they understand the direction of the market and what that could potentially look like if they chose to sell now, and what could we help them find on the other side. The biggest objection we've heard with that is a lot of those people are locked into interest rates sub 3%, which is also kind of crazy. So we're having to get really creative to show them how we can buy down their rates if they choose to sell, and focusing on what can we do to buy down their rates so that they're going to be still capitalizing on a market where they bought a house at extreme value. They're buying in a market that's depreciating, so they're going to get good value. How can we make sure that they still get somewhat of a palatable interest rate on the purchase so that the entire equation makes sense? And so those are three strategies right now that we're really focusing on. Listings for us are everything. We've always been about 60% listing, 40% buyers. And that's because we've leveraged some of these strategies, and we're even leaning into them even more now. So I'll answer any questions, anything that I can do tactically or strategically to help you guys. But besides the expired SPIS, but we're still doing all the basic kind of essentials of real estate. These are just three things that I find a lot of people are surprised. I'm surprised when they're not doing something like this. So I think I saw something in the chat.
Well, this is awesome. So Ryan, thank you. You're exactly right. This is more of a normal market. The last 3 years was not normal. I mean, you get a listing, your ink is still wet and you get 12 offers, so this is more of a normal market. And you're exactly right. More millionaires have been made in a down market than any others. So I love
100%.
the fact that you're a proponent to, it's a skill-based market. And you're exactly right. Buyers, a lot of people, when they hold an open house, they're just, oh, well, I want to pick up some buyers. Half of the buyers that come through an open house, they have a home to sell. So who has a question here? Brett, what have you got? You could go ahead and ask it. Looks like, what is your average cold call time block per day? What's the percentage of inbound leads versus outbound?
Yeah, so we have an ISA based model. So our ISAs are on the phone for 8 to 10 hours a day, right? And that's something that we've just found we've really focused on kind of what I would consider a specialist model. And I want my ISAs on the phones all day long, and I want my agents in the field showing, selling, being on appointments, networking, stuff like that. So our model's a little bit skewed because the ISA is essentially time block about, I'd say 6 to 6.5 hours a day for both inbound and outbound, depending on how much, depending on the amount of lead flow and what on-call shift they're on, essentially, and what their responsibilities are that day. My agents, all I want from my agents is an hour a day of just reaching out to past clients, spheres, stuff like that. I'm happy with that. But I really look at my ISAs as the heart and soul of our team, and they're kind of our workhorses, because I can be in control of, I get every day a report at the end of the day. They made 250 dials, they've made 23 contacts, they've set however many appointments, they've had however many appointments sold. From a metric standpoint, we want to see our ISAs have 25 contacts a day. We want to see them have at least one appointment set a day. And that's pretty standard. That's, a blend of both inbound and outbound. Oh yeah, inside sales associate. We actually call them SDR, sales development representatives, but most people in the industry call them ISAs.
Hey Ryan, I have a question for you. This is Russell in Northern California. On your first strategy where you target the investors, I always thought they were kind of a pain in the butt, right? They're all looking for deals, but I like your idea of buy and then sell on the backside. Do you guys have a system where you actually acquire potential, or a list of potential properties they might be wanting to buy, and then how do you process that front side?
So we don't have a list. We just are super creative in kind of making stars align, if you will. So it's like when you start working with a lot of investors, some investors that are looking to exit certain types of portfolios or criteria, and others that are looking to enter those types of criteria. So I have some people that are looking to bundle and sell homes, and I have others because they want to get into larger facilities, apartments, stuff like that. And then I have buyers that are looking to acquire bundles of homes. So what we found is the more investors that you talk to, the more you can kind of play matchmaker. And so the key is you got to gather those entities and look up those entities and look at all of their inventory. And you'd be so surprised at how that opens up dialogue. Imagine if I called an investor and said, hey, I saw you own 12 homes in Cleveland, right? Are you looking to buy more? I'm not calling you to sell the current homes that you have. I'm calling to help you find opportunities if you are. Tell me about what you're looking for. What's your criteria? Then they say, yeah, I'm looking for doubles, triples, and quads, right? Okay, cool. Now I find another person that owns an entity and I call them up and say, hey, out of curiosity, are you looking to buy more? And they say, yeah, I'm looking to get rid of my doubles, triples, and quads. I want, 10 suiters and bigger. Oh, that's funny. I was just talking to someone that's looking to acquire more doubles, triples, and quads. You will be so surprised when you start talking to, first of all, it's a small circle. And like, you would be so surprised that when you can start playing matchmaker, they love off-market opportunities. Like there's something, a part of that group that like, it's just like there's a pride in like, oh, I got a steal on this one. I got it off market,
That's awesome. So as far as calling expireds and off markets and canceled expired listings, do you lead with, an instant offer? Of course, trying to book an appointment. Are you still interested in selling? Can we come and take a look at your home and bring you an instant offer?
So I own a company called Fellow that is basically an instant offer lead generation platform. So we definitely, over the past 2 years, we've received over 5,000 instant offer requests in Northeast Ohio. We bought and sold about 400 homes. So we are in kind of a unique situation where we can lead with that. What I would recommend to most people is get into curiosity, right? Realize that every single person that's calling the same expireds is kind of hitting them with the same scripts. I would always go backdoor. And I hit expireds and FSBOs at a pretty high level over the years. I would always go backdoor. So, I would be focusing on how can I provide them value and trying to understand their pain points and challenges versus trying to sell myself. But I would subtly weave in some of our stats, when they ask about, well, what would you do different? And I would kind of weave in that we sold 600 homes last year and that we are the #1 team in the state of Ohio, but I wouldn't come out of the gate and be aggressive and tell them that. So I would lean into whatever, instead of just coming out of the gate and being like, I can get you an instant offer. I would start to dive in and identify their pain points yet and see if an instant offer is actually a solution. And then I would say, wow, it seems like, selling this house is a high priority of yours, or you have an opportunity on the backside. Would some sort of vehicle like an instant offer be attractive to you? Right. And if they say yes, great. I'd love to talk to you about how I can help you facilitate that as one of the options we provide. Some of the other options we can provide are focusing on net dollar or whatever other kind of creative solutions you guys have. We have certain solutions that we use like rent backs. You sell now and then you lease back. We have instant offers, we have traditional, we have a guaranteed sale program. So we have a couple different things that we can weave in, but I always like to wait until they tell me what the pain point is before I just come straight for the jugular and try to hit them with the instant offer.
Man, that's great. Okay, one more question. Anybody else?
Yeah. As far as your ISAs are concerned, how are you doing on these ISAs? Are they overseas? Are they state bound? How are you paying them? Are they licensed? What's their comp model? Just we're hiring 3 full-time ones right now. We're taking to that model, but I'm just curious how you've had success with that.
Yeah, so we believe in all right now for us, and I've tried everything. I've failed at a lot of things. Right now, this is what's working for us is we're all in office, onshore, local people, right? Like there's nothing worse when you have an ISA that says, for example, we have Medina County and they're Philippines or offshore based and they're calling it Medina. I saw you were looking for homes in Medina County, or Solon when it's Solon, right? Like it just immediately creates a lack of being a local expert. And we're in a day and age where information is so accessible through the internet that I feel like when people talk to people, they actually want to make sure they're talking to a local expert. So for us, it's super important that they're really trained up on like the nuances of each of these markets, the niche markets, stuff like that. We have a very simple ISA model. They receive 5% of the gross commission paid through from the agent. So it's paid from the agent. It's a pass through. I don't pay for it. All I do is pay for their salaries, which is 25 grand a year. And then everything else they do is commission based. What we look for from our ISAs is 25 contacts a day, 1 appointment set per day. We do measure the appointment set to appointment held ratio, but right now we're more focused on lead measures and getting our agents in front of people, and kind of building up in a mass of appointments and stuff like that.
Is an appointment face to face, a Zoom meeting, or is it just like a
Face to
follow-up
face.
call? Okay.
No, face to face. Where, you know, with 25 contacts, they should be setting at least 1 face-to-face appointment. And obviously it depends on what the lead source is. If they're circle prospecting, we understand that that's going to be a lower conversion versus inbound versus a radio. Like Tom said, we're heavy radio. Those come in with a little bit more of a higher conversion because we are endorsed by local celebrities and stuff like that.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. It's awesome. Great to see you. Thank you. Ryan is exactly right. Right now, we need to pour into our clients and everyone out there, because let's face it, there's a lot of fear right now. A lot of people are reading the headlines, but a lot of times the headlines do more to terrify than to clarify. So as long as we're able to reach out, pour into our clients, pour into others, pour into our team, and stick together as a community. In fact, we're starting. This is one thing we do on our team. We have 9 a.m. meeting right here. Then we have 9:30 to 10. We have role play. And then from 10 to noon, we have lead generation and lead follow-up. We're going to do that corporately. So that's starting on Monday, Halloween in November. We're going to just invite you all and, you know, big group of people. We're going to do it right here so we can, you know, we're a skill-based business. So Ryan, any final words before we wrap up?
No, I put my email in there. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Whoever's ERPAG, I direct message you my email. Sorry, I thought I was sending it to everyone.
Yep.
That's kind of creepy.
I got it. A
Go.
lot of what you said resonated with me today. It's really how I've been building my business as well. And when you were talking about putting together off-market deals and providing value, one thing you didn't mention is you build so much trust with these people on both sides of the transaction. They'll just keep coming back to you. You're not going to have to be tracking them down after you get a deal or two put together off market. They'll love you for life.
The crazy thing is I've helped over the past decade, and this is something I used to do in like 2009, 2010. I started off helping clients when I first got in flip like $30,000-$40,000 houses. And I know you guys probably who are in California are like, is that a joke? Like there's houses that you can buy for $30,000 to $40,000. But what's crazy is they built a large portfolio and a lot of wealth. And next thing you know, they were flipping 200,000, then 500,000. And then I had a client that did a development that was like an $8 million sellout. Like it was one of those things that it was just the relationship, but I poured into them and I helped them and we created a path. And so look, a bunch of different strategies, whichever ones work best for you, but there are a lot of strategies out there that you can use that can help you in this type of market. And once again, everyone's going to be hitting expireds, hitting FSBOs. You still got to do that stuff. That's kind of an essential foundational type of business. Everyone's going to be hitting their sphere of influence. Totally get that. Here's just a couple strategies that other people might not be doing that hopefully you can implement in, and that hopefully you can have some success with.
Cool. Okay, well, Ryan, thank you so much. Thank you all. We'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Now y'all got your inspiration. Time to put in the perspiration. Let's go.
Love
Thanks,
it.
Ryan. Have fun down there. See you guys.